Hello, welcome. So we are in Studies in Theatre MOVE program. Today we are going to discuss further on the topic of performance movements and various styles associated with performance movements. So we have discussed many things related to different kinds of impacts under ideologies, trends, industrial revolution, political movements, world wars. So all these things have been impacting the performance cultures and hence theatres and theatre movements. Therefore, carrying forward from the previous discussion, we will discuss today more of these performance cultures. Today we are going to talk first about modernism. Modernism is an umbrella term, as you all know about this, but it impacts different kinds of facets of intellectual world, academic world as well as performing arts in different ways. The manifestations of the same movement are different in different kinds of facets of our intellectual spheres. In theatre, it refers to a movement that emerged in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, primarily in Europe and the United States. It was a response to the cultural, sociological and technological changes of the time, sought to break away from the traditional forms of conventions of drama. I have been telling you that when a form of theatre, when a genre of theatre creates a new path, rebelling from its own ways of presentation, that leads to the first kind of institutionalizing or foundation of new performance culture, new theatre. In modernism also, the theatre aimed to reflect the fragmented, complex and often chaotic nature of modern life. Key characteristics of this kind of theatre have been discussed a lot in previous lectures. You have been looking at these through the works of Samuel Beckett, Bertolt Brecht and Antonin Artaud, and who challenged traditional linear narratives and experimented with non-linear narratives, fragmented scenes and abstract forms in their plot line. This kind of theatre also seeks to explore the psychological sphere of world and mind, delving into the inner workings of human mind, exploring themes of alienation, existential angst and the breakdown of identity. Playwrights like Eugene O'Neill and Tennessee Williams are notable for their psychological depth and complexity. Alienation effect has been discussed in previous lecture. That is also absurdism and alienation effect, Verfremdungs effect. All these are aspects of modernism in theatre. Social and political commentary is also a paradigm that modernist theatre addresses. Now, this movement, as it originated as a kind of an art movement in the 20th century, it is basically a cultural movement that challenges traditional forms of arts, literature and theatre. It sees art, including theatre, as a detached form from life in a pure way and capable of critical reflection on life. Ibsen is regarded as the pioneer of modern theatre. Other characteristics of modernism is innovation in storytelling and breaking the conventions of narrative approaches, utilizing techniques like fabulation, pastiche, metafiction, temporal distortion, magic realism, paranoia and minimalism. This also leads to shifts in focus from action to ideas, emphasizing political, social and metaphysical concepts. Experimentation and innovation are the essence of this kind of theatre because it experiments at the level of language, it experiments at the level of narrative structure, And fragmentation and subjectivity also are visible in most of the works related to modernist theatre. Narratives are fragmented, subjective perspectives are there, and storytelling is many a times non-linear. Identity and consciousness is explored a lot in this kind of theatre. The other aspects, let us now discuss some examples of the modernist theatre through the dimension of plays that were written in this period. The Glass Menagerie by Tennessee Williams is a classic example of modernist drama. This play explores themes of memory, illusion, and the fragility of dreams. The Birthday Party by Harold Pinter. Pinter's play is characterized by its cryptic dialogues, ominous atmosphere, and exploration of power dynamics and existential uncertainty. Modernist theatre students provokes through thought and encourage the audience to question the axioms of the previous age. It seeks to reflect the complexities of modern life and the uncertainties of the human condition in the modern world. This is one picture from the Glass Menagerie. This is shown through puppets. Now coming to postmodernism, postmodernism supersedes modernism by challenging established views of the world and embracing complexity. Postmodernism, this kind of theatre underscores the fallibility of absolute truth and promotes individual audience interpretation. Its aim is to dismantle established perceptions of the world and self. This movement originated in the late 19th century, and postmodernism is not a break away from modernism. Postmodernism is a response to modernism. Without modernism, we cannot understand postmodernism. It is therefore important to discuss and decode these two movements in comparison to each other, in relation to each other. This postmodernism as an intellectual movement embodies skepticism, subjectivism, and relativism. It challenges the grand narratives of modernism, rejects the certainty of knowledge and stable meaning, and acknowledges the role of ideology in upholding political power. Now, the approaches of technique that are visible in postmodern theatre are these approaches. Multimedia approach. It utilizes multiple art and media forms, blending various mediums to create cohesive artistic expression. And you know, this suits the modern, postmodern world, and especially the world that we are living in, because in this world we see that on theatre there is a blend of so many things. Technique, technology, different mediums of art, different various performance arts, all are blended in various kinds of productions, because it is very much possible with the help of technology to do these kinds of things. Then narrative style of postmodern theatre is also to be talked about. It's something very specific. Narrative structures are broken and paradoxical, imagistic. They become paradoxical, they become imagistic, focusing on images rather than having a linear narrative which can sound meaningful from one end of the thread to the other. And these narratives often defy traditional storytelling conventions. They rather depend on a pastiche-like tradition where episodes are more important, rather the connecting threads between those episodes of events, actions in the plot of the play. Fragmented characters. Characters are fragmented, representing a collection of contrasting or parallel ideas rather than traditional archetypes. Archetypes like villain, hero, good character, bad character, clowns, comedians, romantic heroes, non-romantic heroes, serious characters. These kinds of stereotypes are often found broken in the postmodern drama because characters are fragmented. You will find characters as the embodiments of bits and pieces of human emotion, representing a collection of contrasting or parallel ideas rather than traditional archetypes. Then spectacle and improvisation. Scenic spectacle through words, through technique and through body movement is created on stage, which is a very emblematic aspect of postmodern drama. Each performance is a spectacle devoid of methodical repetition, creating a unique experience every time. Rehearsal processes are driven by shared improvisation rather than scripted text, fostering spontaneity and innovation. So there is a room for spontaneity in this kind of theatre. There is a room for extemporeness, innovation, because texts are very sometimes not scripted, and many a times there is a possibility of creating a text while performing it. Then audience engagement is significant in a very different way, because audience plays an integral role in the shared meaning making process of the performance, if there is to be made any meaning in a particular play. This kind of theatre also encourages audience members to reach their work, to reach their understanding and interpretation of the work. The other aspects of postmodernism is rejection of absolutism, because it advocates relativism over essentialism, dismissing absolute views. What does that mean? It means like there is nothing to be finally solved or resolved, as is the spirit of conflict resolution in drama and literature, because things are always in a mode of taking a change for the future. Dynamism is the key. Therefore, anything absolute is not part of postmodernist narratives. Distrust of theories and ideologies is often seen in the postmodernist text and productions. Then hyperreality. Reality is perceived as a web of images and signs lacking an external referent. Or in other words, we can say hyperreality is the way in which art productions or installations or productions in theatre are created in such a way that they are creating reality of a very, very big level, and which is more considered more real, sometimes even far more real than the possibility of actual real. And there is a complete denial of any objective reality. Many postmodernists contest the existence of objective reality, scientific or historical truth. Views on science and technology often are part of discussions in postmodernist productions, theatres. They are not just the methods of human advancements, but as tools of established power. Examples of postmodernism in theatre are plays like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead by Tom Stoppard. This play reimagines Shakespeare's Hamlet from the perspective of two minor characters, exploring themes of existentialism, absurdity, and the blurred lines between reality and illusion. Similarly, Metamorphoses by Mary Zimmerman, a contemporary adaptation of Ovid's classical myths. Zimmerman's production combines elements of mythology, storytelling, and audience interaction to create a postmodern theatre experience. So these two plays are very famous as very good examples of the postmodernism in theatre. Then another kind of theatre which can be considered shooting out from the art orientations of postmodernism is physical theatre, which is prominent in 20th century, and that it relies on physical movement as a primary means of storytelling. It incorporates various techniques such as mime, gesture, and modern dance to convey narrative and emotion without relying heavily on spoken dialogues. It's the characters embody some emotions, some feelings. They run around, they walk, they do gymnastics, they mime, they express through gestures, their body movements, their hand movements, and that becomes the language to express rather than the dialogues of traditional kind where give and take or repartee takes place. This theatre often delves into social and cultural issues using movement and symbolism to explore very complex themes and ideas. This one scene is a representational scene of physical theatre. You can see how actors are very animated, they are in a particular body language, their bodies are twisted and turned and expressing, and it's a very high voltage kind of a scene in which the characters on stage, the actors on stage are speaking through body as an agency as well as using it as a language. So physical theatre has become very popular, and also with the advancement of technology, it is very interesting to see the experiments that are done on through physical theatre, because lights and acoustics that are very advanced in different kinds of theatres in the world, they produce very interesting combination of movement of light, bodies and acoustics. The emphasis of this kind of theatre is on the expressive capabilities of the body, allowing performers to communicate nuances of character and emotion through their movements. It often integrates elements from different disciplines such as dance, theatre and visual arts. Then physical theatre can engage audiences on a visceral level. It often integrates elements from different disciplines such as dance, theatre and visual arts, as I already told you. Physical theatre can engage audience on a visceral level. Evoking visceral level means where their bodies, where their physical presence becomes very entangled with the viewing. In the process of viewing, it becomes very much involved with the physicality of the characters, actors that they are watching on the stage, because that stretches their persona of being audience mentally to physically as well, and their physical presence, their existence inside in that moment of performance also translates into an interpretation, and that engages audience in a very different way. So this kind of performance involves devised performances rather than adhering to pre-existing scripts. For example, focusing on contemporary reinterpretations of literary works like Ibsen's Doll's House or Tolstoy's War and Peace through body gestures and physical movements. Verbatim theatre is another kind of postmodern theatre style. It is a form of documentary theatre originating in the 20th century that relies exclusively on the spoken words of real people. Practitioners of verbatim theatre use testimony gathered from recorded interviews as the sole source material for their productions. In some instances, actors in verbatim theatre productions listen to recorded interviews during performances, allowing them to mimic the accents, mannerisms and speech of the individuals they portray. Verbatim theatre seeks to convey a sense of authenticity and authority akin to news reporting by presenting diverse viewpoints and perspectives on challenging situations or events. So this is a different kind of a theatre in which incidents that have happened in real time, and the people who have been part of those incidents, those stories, those actions, they are interviewed, their testimonies are used as the direct content to be supplied on the stage in a creative paradigm. Eric Bentley, a British American playwright and critic, crafted the play Are You Now or Have You Ever Been? The Investigations of Show Business by this Un-American Activities Committee in 1974. This production was based on the testimonies provided before the US House Un-American Activities Committee in the 1950s. Similarly, another play, Black Watch, is a play penned by Gregory Burke and directed by John Tiffany, introduced as a part of the inaugural session of the National Theatre of Scotland, a recent Verbatim Theatre, integrating interviews from the members of the Black Watch Regiment with dramatized narratives and elements of dance. You know, in this kind of theatre, a lot of activism can be involved. It can be used for messages, for political propaganda, and also to document some kind of big catastrophe that has taken place. So there are, this is another kind of theatre culture which is very much plausible, very much possible, and it embodies the spirit of postmodern multiple aspects where non-linearity of art, narrative, plot line is followed, and various kinds of things come together in order to create productions. So these are the pictures used, and you can see that there are 2 more videos which I would like to play for you just for your reference.
Verbatim Theatre is theatre created from interviews collected with real life people about an event or maybe a subject, and then those real life people are then portrayed.
Then there is another video which you can watch, and the second one is this.
Verbatim theatre is when the actual words spoken by members of the public or professionals or experts are presented on stage. I think you have to start with a topic or a story that inspires you as the creator of this verbatim piece. And then it's about researching and researching.
So these are the sources that I have used in today's lectures are here. Thank you very much. See you in different lecture.